Hello everyone, it's Aprilia and welcome back to my channel. India's Corbettian maritime strategy. The wellspring of Indian maritime strategy from Mahan to Corbett. From the time of independence until the early 2000s, Indian naval strategy was shaped largely by the writing of Mahan. Mahan's main arguments, though radical at the time he first made them in the 19th century, are relatively straightforward. Great power, he argued, even reflexively inward, looking ones like the United States, have vitally important maritime interests. Interests that must be defended against the potential predation of its rivals and adversaries. Mahan believed that in the American case, these interests were global in nature, and that therefore the US Navy had to dominate the world oceans. And this, he concluded, could only be achieved by sweeping the enemy's main fleet from the seas in decisive battle. For Mahan, mere commerce raiding and other piecemeal naval operations were distractions that could never prove strategically decisive. Concentrations of force and what he called offensive defense were the keys to command of the seas, which in turn was the only proper goal of great power naval strategy. While Indian navalists have never viewed India's maritime interests as being global in scope, they have nevertheless internalized other key elements of Mahanian thought. From the time of independence onward, dominating the Indian Ocean has been viewed as being key to India's national security. For most of the period, Pakistan was India's primary geopolitical rival, and Indian naval strategy thus focused on establishing Mahanian style command of the sea in the landing in the Indian Ocean by destroying the Pakistani Navy in the one or two decisive actions. After 1971, concern over the instruction of the US Navy into the Indian Ocean complicated the naval strategy, but the strategy and the Mahanian logic that underpinned it remained in place. In recent years, however, the Mahanian logic and its derivative naval strategy no longer seem fit for purpose. Now that China is the principal threat to Indian security, Indian navalists have been increasingly drawn to the work of a different sea power theorist. The British naval historian Sir Julian Corbett. Also, Corbett agreed with Mahan on the need to control vital sea lanes for both military and commercial purposes. He parted company with him when it came to the latter's view that naval strategy was all about achieving total command of the seas by smashing the enemy's naval power in one or two decisive battles. For Corbett, as the classicist, the most fundamental principle shaping all strategy was the primacy of politics. He, therefore, believed that what he called maritime strategy should always be shaped by the nation's specific political goals, purposes, and constraints, and by the nature of the threats faced. This being the case, Corbett argued, in the certain circumstances, a nation's maritime strategy might well involve bringing the enemy main fleet to battle and destroying it in a decisive engagement, as Mahan advocated. But in different circumstances, it might also be focused on achieving merely temporary and local control of the sea, enforcing blockades, defending the homeland, raiding the enemy's sea lines of communicating slocks, or defending one's own commerce against enemy raiding. It might also involve a robust diplomacy designed to maximize one's own freedom of action while limiting that of one's adversaries. According to Corbett, it all depended on the political aims being pursued and the political realities of the moment. The appeal to contemporary Indian naval and political leaders is obvious. While Pakistan's navy was vulnerable to being swept from the sea by Indian naval forces, China's is not. The PLA navy is much larger and in many ways more capable than its Indian counterpart, and has been for some time, nor do the trend lines favor India. If anything, China's expanding base and port infrastructure in the Indian Ocean region, coupled with its growing investment in naval force projection capabilities, mean that the balance of power is likely to swing even further in China's favor. In short, the strategic reality today is that the Indian Navy simply cannot hope to sweep the Chinese fleet from the Indian Ocean in a single decisive battle. And it cannot therefore hope to establish command of the seas. The growing realization of this new reality is ushering out the age of Mahan in Indian naval circles and ushering in a new, more Corbettian age. This is not to suggest that Corbett has displaced Mahan in the Indian maritime imagination, nor is it to suggest that there has never been a powerful undertow or Corbettian rule running through the thought world of the Indian naval community since the founding of Indian Navy. Indian navalists inherited many Corbettian ideas from Britain's Royal Navy at the time of independence, and those ideas continued to shape Indian thinking in subsequent decades. Rather, it is to argue that Indian maritime strategy is now a uniquely Indian mixture of Mahanian and Corbettian thinking. Perhaps with a good dollop of K.M. Panikkar, India's most famous maritime strategy is thrown in for good measure. If we are to understand India's maritime response to the Galwan incident in particular, and growing Chinese assertiveness more generally, we must understand not only the element of this strategy, but its conceptual wellspring as well. What then is contemporary Indian maritime strategy, and how is it Corbettian? Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe this channel. See you in the next video, and bye bye.